champagne and jungle light. Do you something make you ride it like a motorbike? Me are the original, me are the prototype. Them think we done with us, I kick it in a overdrive. Only can run, anywhere we pull up is a pandemonium. Millions are discussing on the forum. PC6 God and have to run up and down. Trouble foot feet.
Try if you rush me off, try if you brush me off, I see. Bad man like Skull and Knee from unruly girl, why be? Disrespect we at Tagabi. They try to say we done, we can done. We cannot 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 done. We cannot.
WEFM. WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so time here on SVG, it is 8:14, and we are back with you for another commentary segment here on today's Activated Mornings program. Today being Monday morning means that Dr. Gerald Thompson is here in studio with us. So, Doc, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Good morning to Dianna. Real pleasant morning. Great weekend. A lot that's happened, wonderful.
What made your weekend great, Doc? Let me get in your business.
Well, no, I mean, I of course, I was down in my hometown of Chateaubelair, and had to attend the funeral. But at the funeral, it was the people that you meet, and funerals, are those particular type of events that you're supposed to be celebrating the life of somebody. But in addition, you see people who've traveled from abroad. So there was a gentleman in Coast Hill, and I was there. And so, but in addition, I've been looking at what else is happening around the world. Australia, a change in government in Australia. The former Prime Minister Albanese, and so it's got back left-leaning party in Australia. So it's similar to that of Canada, and they're saying it's the Trump effect, and that's been very interesting. And then you're hearing about tariffs on foreign movies.
I noticed that this morning. Yes.
What craziness is that? And of course, one of my favorite IT things, Skype, is no more. They pulled the plug. Everybody, they pulled the plug on Skype, and there's competition with Zoom and with other things like Teams, Microsoft Teams. The competition was just too great. So no longer is Skype being supported. If you have Skype, it's God.
I wonder if it's still on the phone though. Let me see. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, no. I haven't been using Skype of late. Guess why? A lot of people don't have it. Somebody has to have Skype too to be using it. And they say, well, and they start embarrassing you. You're still using that, So it's like you got one of them old phones, and so that's that kind of psychological pressure. So you have to have an S24 or something like that, or an iPhone, whatever number is in play. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Didn't even notice I didn't have it. But yeah, I know. Yeah, well, such as the times. Remember back in the day.
The one that I tried sending you a Skype the other day, and it didn't go through. So I imagine.
As you talk about that, it's so interesting. I think either last Wednesday or the Wednesday before was 20 years since the first YouTube video was uploaded. And yet I would mention it to a friend, and she was saying that in speaking with another friend's child, they were like, well, what were y'all doing before YouTube? And I actually don't know. And I told my friend, I think that what we were doing was we were sending emails back to each other. So like even now, my account still has a lot of mail from 20 years ago. Like every little thing that happens, you send videos and everything. you were sending a lot of it through email, but yes.
Well, I'm a little older than you.
A little.
I got my first Toshiba satellite, 2 megs of RAM in 1991 in my medical office when I opened up a new medical office in Tain. And before that, we wrote letters and we spent a ton of money on international calls, $7-8 a minute, right? Or trying to get a number. Somebody gave you a number that could make you get, and you stay. I was in New York, stay at a phone booth in the middle of winter on the phone, trying to use it. Because if you stop making that call, then the minutes you have goes, evaporates to make the second call again. Oh boy, I tell you something. Those were the days.
So I'm very distracted. When call feta what?
What?
You went call feta what? Look at your hands. All right, we could get back to topic. So yes, I do one of the things before Doc anything. One of the things that I kept as well with phone cards. So I still have a lot of phone cards, the calling cards. Still have a lot of you know what calling cards are?
I've heard of.
You've never seen them?
I don't think I've seen any in person, have I?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
So I still have calling cards. I collected a few of them.
What's
yeah.
the purpose of those?
Those are when you were using like a phone. I used to use them at a phone booth. No, you could have actually used them at a house phone as well. It would just, I can't remember exactly how it was, but you would scratch off there would be like a number at the back, and that would allow you to be able to make a call. So it's almost like credit. It's almost like credit that's on the card itself, and it would indicate like when you have like a minute left or whatever.
Oh, phone card. I think I've seen those, man. I probably have.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So yeah, and in the song that I played this morning, Send This, Send That, and Koja was making reference to, the song said something about VCR, send a VCR.
Oh.
Young people don't know what that is. Young people might not even, we still have phone booths around, but I don't think we have any functional phone booths. We still have them there, but functional phone booths, they won't know about that. Even the days of MSN Messenger, you used it?
Listen, I didn't have a device when I was growing up, so I wasn't on those things.
Okay. So even MSN Messenger no longer exists, and that was our primary source of, for my primary source of communication, especially when I was in UE, you would have that, you would get the nudge coming through and people annoying you, you'd quickly ask you'll see somebody playing music, like they'd be listening to music, and once you see it, you'll be like, oh, send that for me, and that kind of thing. So times have changed in a relatively short space of time, but it's interesting to see what the world would advance to in maybe even 10 years' time, because if Skype is going out, everything else is just about going out as well. All right. So yeah, so everyone's just saying MSN Messenger was the bomb. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And Joshua says that he still uses Hotmail address. Joshua, I still have an Hotmail address. My primary mail address, personal, is still Hotmail as well. So it's just interesting. All right. So enough a bit there of technology and the changes in technology. So just to quickly touch on this, we have like 9 minutes to discuss this. So came across the topic last night on Eyewitness News, where the PM calls on SVG farmers to produce more in response to U.S. tariffs. So Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says St. Vincent and the Grenadines has to grow more food to do so more efficiently and effectively amidst the tariffs that the U.S. have imposed on imports from most countries. He told Parliament that the tariffs are likely to have a greater impact on the prices of goods that SVG imports from the U.S., especially as Miami is a major transshipment point. He says we have to try and grow more food, and we have to grow that food efficiently and effectively, Gonsalves said, even as he noted that SVG is no longer in the business of large-scale production of single crops that enjoyed preferences. Says no fruits, vegetables, ground provisions, and the like. We have to do that better, and we have to do that faster. All right. So I am going to leave that there. The full article is on Eyewitness News, and you can read that, right? But when I read this, I had to question, is it a case where we need to grow more food? Or is it that we need to maybe change our eating habits? Because I kind of feel as if we might have a little bit of a foreign mouth, right? We know that our import bill is quite high. And it's not to say that we don't eat locally, but again, one of my things has always been that many of the foods that we produce here, many of the foods that we grow here, the produce that we grow here, fruits and vegetables, a lot of it goes to waste. I can't say how much of it is actually consumed and consumed by us in terms of eating. And part of me wonders, is it a case where it's not so much to advise the farmers that they need to grow more to help to reduce the import bill, etc., but is it a case where we need to include more local foods within our own diet? Because when you go to the supermarket, right, unless I'm not even just talking about other products, I'm talking about food items. What are the food items that we tend to pick up? How many of us, rather than picking up the carrots, buying the local corn, buying maybe string beans, etc., rather than buying, let's say, those 4 things separately, we pick up the tin veg instead.
Yep.
Right? So to me, it's not so much a case of growing more, but maybe we need to change our diets and the way in which we prepare food, etc. All right.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you something. You've asked the question, one versus the other. And that's where, when it comes to 8:45, I want to dig a little deeper into this.
Okay.
I didn't think the time would have allowed for such a discussion to take place. And I want to dig deep into this because we have to do both and more. And I am looking to give a lecture at the end of this month on linking our agricultural production to nutrition and to trade, because we basically have a number of very healthy foods. I'm not talking about just whether they're pesticide free or whether they basically don't have any toxic ingredients in them. But I don't think, and you've hit the nail on the head, that not only do we have to make our local society more healthy by their look, as taking a second look at some of our food products that we can produce, but we could market these produce, not just that Vincentian produce good, but Vincentian produce can actually promote health for certain specific diseases, for certain specific, especially the big ones, high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer. These are the big boys. And so I'm not talking about lymphoblastic lymphoma and so forth. I'm talking about the big people that are killing the majority of Vincentians and the majority of people around the world and from the Caribbean. And more so, with respect to trade, what he said, that 10% tariff, no doubt, is going to affect the way in which we are able to find a market still in the United States. But surprisingly, our trade exports of agricultural produce just occupies about 5%. You wouldn't believe that. Services is about 70+%. And this was revealed at a recent conference about 2 weeks ago at the University Center by CARICOM. CARICOM wanted to look at the same question. How do we deal with trade? Now, they didn't tell us what they're suggesting. They wanted to know what we thought. And I was privileged to have attended this session. I didn't see the media and so forth there. They should have asked the media to come as well, but maybe they wanted a more technical. But the point I am making is that not only should we be eating more produce, but we also need GDP. We also need foreign exchange. And so we also need to export, and the regional market is the prime place because people around the region, when you studied abroad, you knew people would say, boy, Vincentian produce, nice. But we need to add that other component that Vincentian produce can help promote my health, can be healthy and can promote my health. There's a difference. healthy, that the produce is good quality and so forth, but basically being able to promote my health is so important. And I mean, I could go on, but I won't give Dianna a chance here. So.
I don't really know how to really speak on this topic here per se, but I do agree with the Prime Minister that we ought to produce a little bit more. I've always wanted us to use a lot more of our local produce, but I just listened to Dr. Thompson explain the whole import-export GDP thing, and I think a good while back I heard the Minister of Finance mention something as it relates to trade and not being able to just stop doing certain things. So if I am correct, I am aware that most of the food we import, the food that we love, well, for me, it was designed to be this way. It's in the advertisement. It's everywhere you go. These things are promoted because the world run on money, and most of us, we just care about the money. I don't want anybody to say I want to stop their business or anything like that. But the thing is, we go for these food. More persons are always telling us how unhealthy these things are, but most of us don't listen because it's sweet and we love it. It's the things that we enjoy. But I am always advocating for us to eat what we produce locally and not just start to produce local things and then put in all the extra stuff that the foreigners put into their products and then make our products the same as the imported products. But I advocate for local consumption.
I think maybe it's just creative ways in terms of how we do certain dishes, etc. I think maybe the creativity rather than just maybe having, let's say, the dashi, at the side of the plate as we do rice, we do pie, and we put dashi and other ground provision on it, but at the side on the same plates, but it's different creative ways that we could probably find to do. And, sort of market it in that way.
You're right. But I want you to also listen to understand the billions of dollars that goes into the marketing of certain products. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all these sort of things. The marketing, you're bombarded with subliminal messages and all that kind of stuff. And it works. And so trying to counteract that, yes, the dressing up of the dish is important.
All right, so we are going to head on out at this time as it is 8:30, and we're going to head into our court test. All right, so directly after court, we will take up this conversation again and go into a bit further with Doc.